Nobody would have thought that I would be the one. Reiner, sports talk.
Baseball, 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 baseball.
Oh, with the big mic. Oh, okay. All right, yeah. Okay, now I get it.
We got a lightning strike, boys. What happened over there, Grego? We had a little lightning strike right outside the window.
The Texas Rangers win the World Series.
All right. Here's a tip for all these Americano League teams.
Wait, you said tip?
Yeah, tip.
Okay.
With a P.
Keep jamming.
The ticket, colon, nothing but a big Gen X jerk-off sale.
This is a cool night or what?
Although somebody would hear that and go, bullshit.
I'm back, bitches.
And just like that, do we have distressing news? Shoopy?
I think we do. I'm seeing that Nathan Eovaldi has been scratched for tonight's game, so it's going to be a bullpen game. I believe Jacob Junis will be our opener. How do we feel about that?
We don't feel good about it. I'll bet our guest doesn't feel particularly good about it either. Because if we don't like what's going on, we can turn off the TV or the radio and go about our business. He cannot do this. He is there for the duration because he is the great Eric Nadel.
All right.
So you hearing anything about any situation with Nate?
He has a side issue. His side is sore, and he reported to the ballpark today with side soreness. So they're playing it safe. They haven't done any testing or anything yet. They're just playing it safe.
The old abundance of caution that we hear so much about. That's
Right.
good. That's the best way
We're
for
going to
him
wheel out
to
our
play this.
league-leading bullpen for all 9 today.
Well, that's going to be interesting because I can't think of an area of this team that's been as surprising to me as this bullpen.
It's been the strength of the team. It's unbelievable. You come out of spring training. It's the biggest question when you come out of spring training, and a quarter of the way through the season, it's the biggest strength.
Yeah, I mean, there were no big names, nobody that you would really get all worked up to go see or anything like that, and all kinds of doubt, I guess, and an air of dubiousness, if there is such a thing as that, around it. And yet here we are into the second month of the season, and it's been really, really good. It's crazy how this game works, Eric.
Yeah, especially with bullpens. You know, a lot of teams do what the Rangers have done this year and kind of put their bullpen together every year without a whole lot of returnees. You know, the Rangers bringing in Jacob Junis and Jalen Beeks and Tyler Alexander to add to the guys they had coming back. And they've hit on a couple of rookies with Peyton Gray and Gavin Collier out there. So it's remarkable how everything they've done in the bullpen this year has worked, except what they expected to happen, which was for Robert Garcia to be the closer and Chris Martin to be the 8th inning guy.
Well, I don't know about you, but for me, I'm good with the way things are right now. You know, I mean, I like those guys, but if they can get back, that's great. If they can't, well, I like the way things are. What do you think about the closer situation? The closer situation.
They've got a guy in Latz now who can, pitch multiple innings. I feel like I'm watching Willie Hernandez out there or Raleigh Fingers, guys who throw multiple innings. I'm wondering if, he could even be one of these rare relievers these days who throws over 100 innings in a season because he's able to go multiple innings. That's what those guys used to do when Gossage reliever and Fingers and Bruce Sutter, Willie Hernandez I mentioned earlier, Jim Curran when he was having that great year with the Rangers. Those guys all threw over 100 innings in relief, and now it's almost unheard of for a guy to throw 100 innings.
Well, Latz has come up with the ability to do that because the idea in spring training was possibly for him to be in the starting rotation, but the starting rotation fixed itself so quickly that they had to figure out something else to do with him. He just kind of wound up here by default, it seems like.
That's pretty much the case. You know, he wound up in the bullpen with the role undetermined. All the roles were pretty much undetermined, you know, other than Martin and Garcia going into the season. And then as those guys got hurt, it looked like Jacob Junis was going to be the closer, but Skip Schumacher never anointed him as a closer. You know, he kept saying, we're going to mix and match based on who's coming up, based on the pockets that the reliever would be facing. But with Latz, he has not allowed a hit to a right-handed batter all year. Over 30 at-bats. And it's more than
crazy.
No-hitter. It's like throwing a no-hitter against a lineup full of all right-handed batters. It's unbelievable a quarter of the way through the season.
That is crazy. I don't think I've ever heard of anything like that. Where, you know, a guy...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Not from the same side. You know, you might have heard of a lefty on lefty having some kind of numbers like that, but not a lefty getting righties out at that rate.
Well, are you getting ready for your birthday bash as we sveltly segue over into that?
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's this Thursday, and, you know, it's my 75th, which is a little daunting, as you know. And
yes, I do.
We decided to blow it out and, you know, bring in a couple of big bands, higher budget bands. Chuck Proffitt and his Kumbi Issues from San Francisco. Chuck's a longtime Bay Area legend. I've been a huge fan for years. He's also a very big baseball fan. I've met him a couple of times. And he's doing this Latin rock called Cumbia, which comes from Colombia. And then from New York, Sammy Ray and the Friends, which is a big band with a dynamic, charismatic singer, horns, backup singers. So it's going to be more of a high-energy event than it's been in the past. There'll be a lot of dancing, and it's going to be fantastic. I'm really excited about it. The Longhorn Ballroom is the perfect place for it.
You hear that, Shoopy? Dancing.
Yes, dancing. I do hear that. I do hear that, Shoopy.
I think are we gonna see you two-stepping or line dancing or
no,
salsa?
you won't see any of that.
We're gonna see you salsa.
No, you won't see any of that. You won't see me dancing. You'll see yourself dancing before you will me.
Well, that's not happening either.
So how'd you get familiar with these bands? Did you just run into them on the road, or? I mean, I tell people all the time that you're a very eclectic music guy, you know, and you don't just dip your toes into the mainstream of it. You search for deeper stuff.
Yeah, Chuck Proffitt was actually recommended to me by some friends in the Bay Area many years ago, and I started listening to him and really got hooked on him. And then for the first time about 5 years ago, I got to see him perform live at the 30A Songwriters Festival that I go to every year in Destin, Florida in January. And I was really, really impressed by the kind of show that he put on, both in terms of the music, and he's a personality too. He's a character. He is out there. And I really enjoyed the show. As for Sammy Ray and the Friends, I didn't know they even existed until they started opening shows last year for my favorite band, Lake Street Dive. And I even tell people sometimes that Sammy Ray and the Friends are like Lake Street Dive light. You know, they have a similar lead singer. They have a similar style, as a lot of their songs are a little jazzier than your usual rock type stuff. Right. And it's a really fun live show. All the people I know in New York who have seen them live just rave about them. And, you know, I've never seen them live. They've opened shows for Lake Street Dive, and I've never seen an opener at a Lake Street Dive show that I didn't love. But I've never had the opportunity to see one of the shows that Sammy Ray and the Friends opened. So I'm very excited about seeing them live for the first time after watching lots of their videos.
How many times have you seen Lake Street Dive?
I've probably seen them 12 to 15 times, but I've seen them in 8 different states. I have traveled to Red Rocks to see them. I've traveled to Missoula, Montana to see them. I have seen them in New York. I have seen them in Chicago. I went to see them one year on New Year's Eve in Chicago. I've seen them at the Fillmore in San Francisco. I've seen them in Arizona. and I've seen them in Dallas at the Kessler and at the Granada.
Pretty good.
That's devotion.
That is.
That is true
And I'm planning
devotion.
tentatively this off season to go to Europe to see one of their shows. They're doing a tour in October and November, and depending on when the Ranger season ends, I'll catch them somewhere there. It wouldn't be bad to see them in Italy. If the Rangers don't make it past the first round of the playoffs, I'd be able to go to that.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the event itself, how it all came to be, and how it's developed over the years. Because I've been around for all this. I've been watching it. I've been keeping an eye on the evolution of it all, and it must be very rewarding for you to see.
Yeah, it's grown from, just kind of a harebrained idea after I had a 60th birthday party at the Kessler, which had just opened as a live music venue, and I decided I wanted my birthday party to be there. So I invited, pretty much everybody I knew, and I bought out the whole balcony and brought in one of the singers, Dabney Willis, to play with the Austin singer-songwriter Kelly Willis, not related, but kind of cute. And it was such a good time that afterwards, I was talking to some people and decided it would be a nice idea to do it on an annual basis if we could raise some money for a mental health charity. And that's really how it started. So the following year, for the first time, we actually sold tickets to it, did it at the Kessler again, sold sponsorships, and we were doing it for a charity called Contact Crisis Line, which later got absorbed into Suicide and Crisis Line. So I needed a new beneficiary a few years into the whole project, and I switched over to an organization called Focus on Teens, and they didn't make it through COVID. And I needed another partner, and that's when I found the Grant Halliburton Foundation, which provides mental health and suicide prevention programs in schools. And they have been, greatly helped by the money and the name recognition that, this event brings to them. They've been able to put their programs into far more schools, and they have grown tremendously. They're celebrating their 20th anniversary this year, and all the money raised goes to them. And of course, we get money from sponsors. We get money from ticket sales. We haven't sold the TV rights yet. I don't know what's going wrong there. I don't know why that hadn't happened. But we do have
come out there and podcast it next year.
There you go.
There we go. Perfect. But we do a silent and live auction, and that's where we actually raise most of the money. We've been very successful with what we call celebrity meals. We have 25 of them this year, where you can get to go to lunch with one Mike Reiner at Eddie's Tex-Mex on Lower Greenville. You could go. You can go to dinner with Rangers managing partner Neil Liebman at Albernays. You can go to lunch with Elvis Andrews at Choloso. You can go to lunch with Skip Schumacher at Texas Live, with Ross Fenstermaker, Rangers general manager, and all of the hosts at the various radio stations, at the Fan and at the Ticket, with Evan Grant, Mike Ducey, and Sam Gannon at Masume. And then in our live auction, we have a dinner with Chris Young at Nick and Sam's. But we also have these great experiences where you can sit in the radio and TV booth for an inning, and you can sit in with me when I record the Skip Schumacher show. A new one this year is you can run the dot race. You can bid to be one of the dots, which is something that's never been offered before. And I think the next thing, we just need to figure out some way to have somebody sit with grooves and pick out the music for one night.
I'm not doing that anymore, but I know Chris Statzer would happily have someone sit in with him and tell him what to do. Because I already do that.
Groups. But anyway, the silent auction is already live and people can bid. And this is how you get involved. You text the letters ENBB, all lowercase, to 44834. That's ENBB to 44834. And the bidding's already on for these items. It'll go till 9:30 the night of the show on Thursday. And it's a really unique auction. We have a lot of autographed memorabilia, as most of these auctions do, but we have so many other experiences and these celebrity dinners that it's become, a really big thing, and it is how we raise most of the money. So people should jump on and see if there's something they like. We have a lot of signed baseball cards this year from various Ranger players. I even got a rookie card signed by Nick Kurtz of the Athletics when we were out in Sacramento. When AZ Fudd threw out the first pitch the other night, and the whole Dallas Wings team was here, we got AZ to sign a ball, and we got Paige Beckers to sign a ball. You can get a baseball signed by either one of those. And when I was in Seattle, Brandi Carlile threw out the first pitch. I got her to sign a baseball. We have a baseball signed by Brandi Carlile that you can bid on.
All right, there you go. What more
salty.
could you possibly want? That's a very stout lineup of auction items this year you put together. Let's talk a little bit about the mental health aspect of this, because I know that's something that is very close to you and something that, you've dealt with a little bit over the course of your life.
Yeah, it's something that I think you really don't understand unless you've been through depression and anxiety. If you haven't had the experience, it's really hard to comprehend that some people just have their brain chemistry go haywire. And when you're in a clinical depression, as I was, you wake up every morning sad. For some reason, you're just sad. You feel like crying. It doesn't matter what's going on in your life. It doesn't matter if everything is perfect in your life. Your brain is just telling you you're not happy. Your body feels weird. When you have anxiety, you feel it in your gut. You feel it in your solar plexus. It's really unpleasant. And, some people respond to talk therapy. Some people respond to antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications. A lot of people respond to both. But the most important thing is to talk about it, to acknowledge it and to talk about it and to make other people aware of it. And it's important, and this is what Grant Halliburton Foundation does so well, it's important for your friends and your peers to know the signs of somebody who's going through depression, somebody who's having mental health issues. And that's one of the things that they teach in their programs in schools, not only to students, but to teachers and parents as well. But the whole stigma around mental health issues is something that we're working hard to eliminate. It's an illness. It's a disease. People don't like to admit they have, quote, mental illness or mental health issues, however you want to phrase it. But, it's a physiological thing, just like any other physiological sickness.
Yeah, it's probably more people have had it than might realize it. It's one of those things that kind of can hang around you for a long time, and something's wrong, but you don't know what it is, yet you keep fighting through it, and there comes a point where it just sort of overtakes you. It sort of gets on top of you, and you can't get it out from under it.
Right, and you don't see the end in sight. You don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that's one of the hardest things about it. How do you carry on feeling so crummy all the time? And a friend of mine who had been through it really helped me. She told me that what you need to do is be grateful and appreciative of all the little things in your life that give you pleasure, whether it's stepping into a hot shower and realizing how lucky we are that we have access to hot, clean water all the time, when a significant percentage of the world does not. You get into clean sheets at night and a comfortable bed. Relish that. Enjoy that. It's that whole idea of being in the moment and appreciating what you have. Every time a meal is placed in front of you, be thankful that you're eating wholesome food. You're eating what you want to eat. You're not like the people in Cuba, for example, who are fortunate now to just have rice and beans to eat. It's something that keeps you going when you realize how many things there are in your life that you still appreciate. You may not enjoy them as much as you normally do, but you still generally like eating, you like sleeping, you like taking a shower, and all of those things help you get through those tough times when you're basically going through depression and or anxiety.
I tell myself that all the time, too. Just be glad for what you've got. Enjoy what you've got. You've got it good. And I tell myself that all the time, but sometimes I don't know if I'm doing enough there.
It's hard. We take so much for granted, and, we're blessed. We are certainly in the realm of first world problems, as fortunate as anybody. But depression is not a first world problem. It's an all world problem. And we're fortunate in the first world that we can get help, that we can try antidepressants and see if they work, that we do have, talented talk therapists, both psychologists and psychiatrists, who are available to talk to us and help us through these things and maybe actually help us get out of it. And, that's always the question. How do you get out of it? And it usually happens kind of gradually. And it can be the antidepressants working. It could be something kicking in talk therapy. But all of a sudden, I realized that one day hey, I'm enjoying music again. That was the hardest thing for me when I was going through it, to not even be able to enjoy music that much. And then one day you start listening to the radio, or you put on Spotify or Apple Music and you hear a song and you really enjoy it. And you think, wow, the worm has turned. I'm on my way out of this black hole. And you start appreciating and enjoying things again. And, in my case, when I was going through it, I was taking a lot of medication for anxiety, which slows down your mind. It makes you calm, but it slows down your mind so much that I didn't feel I was capable of working. In this job, you have to focus, you have to concentrate. You got a million balls in the air at one time, and your mind has to come up with stuff really quickly. And I didn't feel I could do that. And I didn't want to work, at 50% or 60% of, what my capabilities normally are. So it wasn't until I was able to wean off the anxiety medications that I felt normal enough, mentally, that I had the mental acuity to be able to do that.
This is the great Eric Nadel with us, and we're talking about the Eric Nadel birthday bash, which is coming up here. And we'll have more with Eric here in just a little bit. But right now, we must stop down for the dreaded and feared mid-show read.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, let us talk to you a little bit about the House of Healing. We're talking about mental stuff here, but there's the physical end of things as well. And you may be roaming through this world in a whole lot of physical pain. These days, I'm having to deal with some of that myself. And I found out about this. This helps. I got this from the CBD House of Healing. This is the full spectrum salve stick. And I don't know if exactly what it is I've got, but it hurts like a pulled muscle, and putting this stuff on it helps quite a bit. Now, the CBD House of Healing, they got all kinds of things for all kinds of issues. Their owner is a registered nurse, and if you've got something wrong with you, you need to go down there and at least talk to her. Tell her what's going on, and chances are she will have something that can and will help you out. The CBD House of Healing is located at Plano Road and Northwest Highway in the northeast quadrant of that burgeoning intersection. Do drop by, check it out for yourself, and see what they can do for you at the CBD House of Healing. Tell them you heard about it from us here on YDC. YDC is coming to the Stockyards over there in Crazy Fort Worth. We're going to be hosting a remote show along with Jake White and John Henry of our Signal 51 Chronicles podcast. Join us at Bronx Tack Room, the newest casual restaurant in the Stockyards, with a basement bar with darts, pool tables, and live music. We'll be talking some true crime with Jake and John, and the live music scene with the great Steve Helms, Tyler Kern of the Sunset Soccer Club, and special guest Arlington Mayor Jim Ross will join us with all things World Cup. This will be coming down on the 20th of May from 5 until 7. At 115 West Exchange Avenue over in crazy Fort Worth. You've been asking for it, and Bronx Tack Room is giving it to you. YDC in Fort Worth, May 20th, starting at 5 o'clock, 115 West Exchange Avenue. Is that it?
I think that is.
All right. So that's what's happening with little YDC. What was the first music you remember hearing?
The first music I remember hearing is show tunes. My parents would have Oklahoma, South Pacific, The King and I, music like that, always playing in the house. And that's the first music that I remember. And my parents used to sing along with those songs. And we had a deep appreciation for it. My dad had a great singing voice. My mom didn't. I can't sing at all. My sister can't sing at all. But we would whistle those show tunes, and sometimes he would badly sing along with them. And then, of course, when my sister, who was 3 years older, started appreciating music on her own, when she was maybe 8 or 9 years old, she started buying Elvis Presley records. You know, they were the singles then. They were the 78s, which were, you know, like dinner plates.
Yeah.
And I remember she brought home, the first one she brought home was Hound Dog with Don't Be Cruel on the other side. And then she brought home Love Me Tender. I don't remember what the B-side was. Then Jailhouse Rock. And then Heartbreak Hotel. I might have the order mixed up. But we just loved those songs. It was one after another, and we were crazy about it. And then I remember the first album that I actually got was the Buddy Holly and the Crickets first album, which was like the Fabulous Crickets or the Amazing Crickets or some kind of crickets. It wasn't just the Crickets. But That'll Be the Day was our favorite song for a really long time. We would sing that at the top of our lungs.
Yeah, I love That'll Be the Day, too, and I love Buddy Holly. I remember when Elvis first came out. My parents always had the radio going, and I heard music on there constantly, and it got into me, and it never has left, and it never will. And I don't want it to, you know. I mean, it's too big of a part of the fabric of who I am and who I've always been. There have been times when I've blown a little hot and cold on it. There have been times when there have been some genres that have come along that really didn't do much for me. And I found out later that, yes, there is something there, and you should have gotten into this the first time around, but you didn't. So I'm like you. It's been we're rough contemporaries, or maybe not rough contemporaries
like
at
6
all.
months apart, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. We're smooth contemporaries.
It's just always been a part of the fabric of my life, and it always will be.
And for what it's worth, the B-side of Love Me Tender, Any Way You Want Me, that's how I will be. Yeah. So now you know.
Huh.
What are we going to do about this?
That's a Buddy Holly song I don't think I remember.
Elvis, for Elvis.
Oh, Elvis?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't think I remember that for him either.
I don't either.
Well, that's why it's a B-side, I guess.
I think the first Any Way You Want It I remember is by the Dave Clark Five.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a great time out there.
Yeah, we
are going to be there. But
yeah, I'm telling you,
these
bands are sensational. They are fantastic. We debated who goes first. They're both really hard to follow. But, you know, in between the two bands, we have our live auction. And that's where people can bid on a dinner at Nick and Sam's with Chris Young, or a home plate suite at a Ranger game, or Chad Hauser, the award-winning chef from Cafe Momentum, will come to your house and prepare a dinner for 10. That's one of our live auction items. And we have a trip to Napa with several wine tastings at different wineries, and a trip to Houston for a weekend with the Rangers when they play the Astros later on this season in July, I believe. Those are the live auction items where you have to be present to bid. The rest of the auction that's online right now, you don't have to be present to win. You don't have to have anything to do with the event other than the auction. But I should point out the tickets for the event they start at just $25. Most benefits, most charity galas, the tickets are $100 and $200. We start at $25. I think they're 25, 45, and 70, if I'm not mistaken. And last year we had about 600 people at the event. We'll probably have about the same thing this year, the way things are looking, which isn't totally full at the Longhorn, but gives people room to move around and, again, get up and do some dancing if you feel like.
And, of course, you'll be at the Longhorn Ballroom, and it's not like there's any shortage of stuff to walk around there and look at either. They've got an unbelievable country music memorabilia thing going on. Just anybody who has ever played at the Longhorn Ballroom has pretty much given them something to put up on the walls, and they just got all kinds of great stuff. Can we talk
It's like a music museum.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Yeah, you also get to see us right outside the Longhorn Ballroom.
Oh, yes, we'll be there
me
too.
and you
that
and
purple
Grego
carpet.
and Alex and Rob from the clubhouse.
Yes.
Our own little pre-show purple carpet.
Oh, yeah, we'll be there too. You're not doing this thing without us. We'll be there to screw everything up for you. Can we talk a little ball before you go here?
Yeah, let's talk some ball. We're excited after these two shutouts.
Boy, this was a really, really good series. But I'm wondering if people are aware of what's going on in the National League Central right now. I don't remember a single time since they turned the American League and National League into divisions where I have seen a team this late into the season. We're a month in now, so things have started to, shake out the way they're going to. But in the National League Central, every team is over 500. And the Cubs, who the Rangers just won the series against here, are sitting at the top of the division. I got to think the team has got to be a little bit jazzed by the way they played against them.
Especially in light of the fact, Ryans, that the Cubs came in, they were the highest scoring team in the National League. They were averaging over 5.5 runs a game, and over the last 3 weeks, they were averaging over 6 runs a game. And they scored a total of 7 runs in the 3 games against the Rangers, all of them coming in one game.
2 shutouts.
2 shutouts. The Rangers ranked 3rd in the league at ERA. Remember, last year they ranked 1st, but their bullpen ranks 1st by a huge margin. The bullpen ERA for the Rangers is about a half a run lower than anybody else's. And again, they're doing it with so-called journeymen like Jacob Junis and Jalen Beeks and Tyler Alexander, but also with the emergence of, Jake Latz and Cole Winn and Gavin Collier. It's been phenomenal, and it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight with the bullpen night, and also, with the Rangers having to use a bunch of relievers over the weekend, what that does to the Rangers staff for the remainder of this series. Fortunately, the Rangers do have an off day on Thursday, but they've got to have enough pitching to get through this series. So we're all wondering whether they'll call somebody up at some point, and it might depend a lot on Eovaldi's situation and whether he's available to pitch, probably not tomorrow, but maybe on Wednesday, I don't know, or whether they're going to need to piece it together without Eovaldi starting a game. And they do have the starters lined up for the next 2 days, but, they might need some help in the bullpen.
Can you pinpoint any particular thing that's led to the success of the bullpen?
That's a great question. Every team now has what they call a pitching lab, and they figure out what each pitcher does best, what each pitcher doesn't do best, what pitches a guy should be using more. They work with the pitchers on changing the shape of their pitches. Sometimes they think the slider is too horizontal and needs vertical break. Sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes they change the release point of a pitcher. Sometimes it's just a matter of changing the grip a little bit. You hear them talking about tunneling, about which pitch will deceive the batter the most because it's coming through the same tunnel out of the pitcher's hand, that the fastball does. And some teams are better at it than others. And, the Rangers pulled it off last year. And, a lot of the credit, I'm sure, goes to Mike Maddox, who was the pitching coach. But they're doing it again with Jordan Teagues as the pitching coach, who was kind of Maddox's understudy for the last few years. And I've just got to think that the Rangers, they've got something going there. They've got some really good analysts. There was all kinds of people on the staff. Now, I don't even know who all the people are who travel with the team now and do all this kind of stuff. But there's a whole team full of them. And apparently on the Rangers staff, they're really good at it.
Is Jock Peterson finally starting to get going?
Oh, it looks like it. It looks like it. And, you never feel that confident in Jock, I think, because he had such a bad year last year. And on top of that, because his swing is so unorthodox, he's not Will Clark or Rafael Palmeiro up there with the sweet left-handed swing. He's not Don Mattingly. He's got this really unorthodox swing. Obviously, he has a somewhat unorthodox body type for a baseball player. And so until we see him do it over a sustained period of time, I'm sure Ranger fans are going to be skeptical. But he just had a fantastic series over the weekend against the Cubs. I think he was on base 6 times out of 9 plate appearances. He hit the ball over 110 miles an hour 3 or 4 times. It really looked like a completely different guy than, who we saw all of last year and the beginning of this year.
Now we got to worry about Jake Berger, though. Jake Berger is the style of hitter that always makes me a little bit nervous because he's a pretty big all-or-nothing guy. And he started off well, and it looked like he was on his way to a really good year, but it's very, very early in those first few weeks of April, and this game has a way of catching up with you.
Sure, and Skip Schumacher has made the point that, he managed Berger in Florida, or I guess Miami we're calling them now, and he's a streaky hitter. And Skip has been through the good and the bad with Jake. And he felt that giving him the 2 days off over the weekend would allow him to reset, work in the cage, blah, 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 come in. Maybe sometimes it's just a matter of a different mindset. But he's back in the lineup today after Justin Foscue played first base the last 2 days. And, we'll see when it helps. So far, he's had pretty good success sitting people down and having them come back and play well. It certainly worked with Josh Young.
What are your thoughts on Skip so far?
I think he's a really good manager. He's a great communicator with the players. Several players have commented on that when I've talked to them about Skip. I think he's a great strategist. He seems to stay an inning ahead, of what's happening, which is, what all the great ones did so well. And he has a very different personality type from Bruce Bochy. Bochy was, laid back. He was like your favorite uncle when you talk to him, whether it was just a casual conversation or doing the Bruce Bochy show every day. You can tell in that interview what an intense guy Skip Schumacher is. And, from what we've seen so far, at least when he's at the ballpark, he doesn't really have a relaxed gear. He is into it. He is intense. He's thinking all the time. He's moving all the time. Even when I go down there to do the show, we shoot the breeze for a minute or two and then we do the show. And it's almost like before I say, and that's the Skip Schumacher, he's gone already off to a hitter's meeting or off to meet with his coaches or with that night's starter and pitcher. He's a man in perpetual motion once he gets to the ballpark. But I think he's doing a fabulous job.
All right, May 14th is the date. The Longhorn Ballroom is the place. It is the Eric Nadel birthday benefit.
That's this Thursday.
Yes, it is. Certainly is. There you go. It's all right there for you.
And tickets are at longhornballroom.com if you'd like to come to the show. Longhornballroom.com. This is what you text to get involved in the auction. Text ENBB to 44834.
Yes, ENBB 44834, or go to longhornballroom.com and we will.
You know how I remember the number to text to, Ryans? I use uniform numbers just like I do to remember my hotel room. You know, this is a 44834. 44 for me is Henry Aaron. 8 is Yogi Berra. And 34 is Nolan Ryan. Who would you go with if you had to remember a 44834?
You can do a whole lot worse than any of those. In fact, I would probably go with those.
Three Hall of Famers.
The only thing I might change is the 8. To me, 8 is Ray Jablonski of the Dallas-Fort Worth Rangers in 1960.
As he is for all of us.
Yes, as he is for all of us.
There you go. Yeah, my 44 for a while was Danny Darwin, the bottom bullet. But over time, I've kind of thought, I should probably go with the all-time home run leader.
Yeah, I probably should go with the
all-time clean home run leader. Let's put it that way.
Well, Eric, as always, great talking to you, brother. And
thanks for having
we will
me.
see you out there. The YDC crew is all going to be there.
All right.
Purple carpet.
It's going to be a great night.
We will see you at the bash. Thanks, Eric.
Looking forward to talking to you there. Thanks so much, Ryan. See you, Grooves.
Eric. Yes, sir.
All right. That is your Dark Companion for today with the great Eric Nadel. Again, everybody come out and see us at the Longhorn Ballroom. See the show. It's going to be great. Eric loves music. And not only does he love music, he's an excellent judge of what's good and what's not. So you will enjoy this. You will enjoy everything about it. You'll enjoy the music, the vibe, all of it. Thanks to Eric for being with us today. Thanks to Ashley. Thanks to Shuby. Thanks to all of you. If you like what we're doing here on YDC, then get us out there on your social media. Help us out. We will continue to do this for you. Till next time. Bye.
All right. I'm going to go take my pants off.
Your Dark Companion is a Stolen Water Media presentation.